Welcome to the Rugby League Outsiders prediction video. This is the only prediction video on the internet that counts, in our opinion. My name's Craig.
And my name's Karl. And this week, Craig, every team that's next to each other in the Super League are playing each other. So it's an interesting week. Can't wait for it.
Okay, let's have a quick recap of the Challenge Cup semi-final. By the way, it wasn't just the weather that was heating up. I mean, there was some good rugby on the pitch as well. Karl, did you enjoy the weekend of rugby?
Yeah, there was some really high-quality games, weren't there? It's always just nice to see sunshine in a nice, fast pitch. It brings out the best in the teams, doesn't it?
It does, and I think the Challenge Cup for me, like when you get up to like the Challenge Cup final, it always seems to be like decent weather as opposed to the Grand Final when it's Baltic. Anyway, more on that in a little bit. So let's do a quick recap. We kicked off on the Friday night, and Saints took on York Valkyrie in the Women's Challenge Cup semi-final.
St Helens 10, York Valkyrie 6. A repeat of last year's Grand Final, this wasn't it? Pretty close game. There wasn't too much in it. Saints got the job done though. It's just got a few more experienced players in that Saints team now. They've brought in a few new players, strengthened a little bit. Yeah, just a bit too strong for York.
Okay, and the second semi-final for the women's then was Leeds versus Wigan.
Yeah, Leeds 14, Wigan 44. Now this one was a turn up for the Bucks. I think it's pretty much the first time that Wigan have gone to and beaten Leeds in such a big game. Wigan have been getting better and better, haven't they, as the years have gone by. Dennis Betts has been sort of building the strength in that side. Leeds have lost some influential players, Caitlin Casey, others, and yeah, they don't look like they're quite up there with the top sides at the minute, Leeds.
Yeah, and I'm sure that took them absolutely by surprise. 44 points to 14. That's a bit of a stonk in there. Right, moving on to the men's game and the Friday night. Warrington Wolves took on Lee Leopards.
Yeah, Warrington Wolves 21, Lee Leopards 14. You've got to say this was a Mark Sneed masterclass. He did make some errors during this game, but he led them around that pitch heroically, especially after coming back from his eye surgery. I just thought it was a one-man. It wasn't a one-man performance, but you know he was so instrumental for that Warrington side.
And just an indication of what Wolves can actually do, you know, and they haven't been doing it. And I loved Paul Vaughan's interview at the end of the game when he kind of said, look, this is my window now. I'm not getting any younger.
Yeah.
And I've got to make these opportunities count. This is my window now. And I thought it was a great phrase and obviously something that he used as a totem to get him through the game.
Paul Vaughan had a great game, didn't he? I just think Warrington fans have got to be frustrated, because this is the performance that they can put in. But they've been inconsistent this year, so we'll see what's going to happen this week in the Super League.
Yeah, and of course, we both got this wrong in our prediction video last week. But anyway, brushing over that rapidly, one thing we did get right was Hull KR took on Catalans.
Yeah, Hull Kingston Rovers 36, Catalans 12. Another masterclass performance by Hull KR. They're absolutely flying out. They're the Robins this season. Steve McNamara a little bit frustrated. We did get into that on our set of 6 show with a penalty count, but I don't think he could have had too many excuses. The Robins were red hot.
They were red hot, and you know there was this arm wrestle throughout the game, weren't there? It was pretty close and could have actually gone either way for majority of the game. But Hull KR, as they do consistently, that you know, and I think. I don't know who it was at the end of the game. I think it might have been Michael Lewis, and he basically said, we knew we was fitter than them, and we just knew if we could stay in the ground, you know, we would. It was the big boppers, wasn't it?
I was just about to say, when you mentioned fitness, did you see Joe Burgess's halftime interview as he was coming off the pitch? Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it, but you telling me about it. So just recap it.
He said something like, "Oh, yeah, we the fatty bum-bums are getting tired in the middle of the field or something along them lines, and we knew they'd be blowing out their asses or something. It was like, right, cut him off, get him off. It's like, haven't they learned? Stop interviewing Joe Burgess. He's just the guy's just a recipe for disaster.
Well, I mean, rumour has it he only opens his mouth to change feet. Like he's constant. He's always got a comment for something.
I think he's funny though.
More of Joe Burgess. That's what we're saying. Right, let's move on to this week's fixtures then. Some absolute humdingers. Like he said, at the start of the programme, there's some real key matches here where, they're next to each other in the table. We've also got this middle slice of teams, 4 teams that are on 10 points. And I'm wondering, is this the point in which we start to see a bit of a break? Last year we had it where we had a very definite top of the table and a very definite bottom of the table, and this where we start to get the polarisation.
Well, it's been such a competitive Super League season. I don't think we are going to. I think there's a lot more twists and turns in this year to come. I think some teams are going to find form, then they'll drop off, and inevitably you've always got teams who find form at the end of the season. So I think it's going to be one of them seasons where there's probably going to be 2 to 4 points in between the bulk of the sides throughout the season, and the first game is a perfect example of this.
Well, before we get on to that, I'm just wondering, Karl, do you think there's some coaches that have earmarked these fixtures as like must win, and thereby who is it?
Yeah, this first one is a must-win game. This is St Helens versus Catalan Dragons. Catalan are 7th, Saints are 6th. We've been talking about it all year. Paul Wellens, he's under some serious pressure from the Saints fans because they expect the top standards, don't they, at Saints? So Paul Wellens is the first coach who's got to win this weekend. Okay,
let's have a little recap of their current form then. So Saints currently only 2 from 6, including a run of 3 losses on the bounce most recently. And then you look at Catalan's forms. They've got 2 losses on the bounce, but they're currently 4th from 6. So you could say that their momentum is a little bit greater than that of Saints. This has been covered on Sky Plus, which have just announced that they've got this 7-day watch feature, which is just golden in my opinion. Perhaps we'll talk about that a little bit later on. It kicks off at 8 o'clock. Absolute belter this is going to be.
And Catalan lost to Saints last time they played. We're kind of at that halfway point of the season. We're almost halfway, aren't we now?
We're not a million miles off halfway.
I mean, Catalan, if you look at Catalan, are they where you would have expected them to be at the start of the season?
Yes, but I think they've had a strange start to the season. They were at the start of the season where they were dog shit, let's be honest.
Yeah, they were terrible at the start of the season.
Now they're quietly going about their business and they're picking up wins.
I think they're dropping off again.
Really?
Yeah, I think they had that ride and they started... They gradually were getting better and better and better, and then they've started dropping again, I think, last couple of weeks. I don't think the performances have quite been up to scratch.
And maybe Saints are doing the same. I mean, they started off with a couple of fixtures that they lost, picked up a few wins, and have dropped back down again, and hence middle of the table, both 6th and 7th.
Well, I think we got a bit excited watching Saints blow Salford to pieces, didn't we, at the start of the season when Salford had half a side out and Tristan Saley had an absolute blinder start to the season, and now it's not clicking for them, and I don't think they quite know what their strongest side is at the minute. They have got some injuries, but yeah, Paul Wellens, I don't know how much longer he's going to last. I don't really want to say that, but
you've been saying it for the last 12 weeks. Well, probably since halfway through last season.
Yeah, but I kept thinking that Saints were going to get the shit together, and it's not quite happening, is it?
No, it's not. Right, okay, so we've got to call it then, Karl. What we're saying, who's your money on? Do you think it's going to be a Saints win or a Catalan win? What do you think?
It's that Saints, isn't it? Do you know what? I think Saints are going to win.
Right.
It's going to be really close. I think the players have got to rally around Paul Wellens. I think they've got to start... I see a decline in Catalan at the minute. I'm a little bit like the coaches started moaning about decisions not going their way and stuff like that. And that's never a good sign. I think you just got to accept sometimes you weren't the better. You weren't the better side, and for that reason you lost. The defence is a little bit worrying. They started leaking a lot of points again of Catalan. So I'm going to go Saints. I think it's going to be very close, but I'm going to go for a Saints win.
Well, I'm kind of on the fence a little bit. I have got a decision, but before I tell you what my decision is, I wonder...
What's this, like, video ref decision?
Yeah. So,
we've got to build it up.
Well, I wonder what the Hull KR effect is, and also the post-Challenge Cup effect is on Catalan. Because, I remember when we went to Lee and we did like a little bit of behind-the-scenes tour and was talking to people, and they were saying that after Lee played Hull KR, they were battered. Now, there's normally a few bruises and bumps and that kind of stuff, but when they played Hull KR, they finished, and the next day, they were battered, right? Now Catalan are going to have that Hull KR effect. They've also got the Challenge Cup effect. Post-Challenge Cup match, where they lost.
Post-Challenge Cup trauma.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, and it's... and therefore... You've got to argue that it could either go one or two ways, couldn't it? It could either spur them on, right, okay, we must perform this week, or they're just that depleted that it has an effect. I'm going to go against you, though. I think Catalan are gonna take up the reins, and I think Catalan will win this. It's going to be a narrow win, in my opinion, and it is just my opinion. But I think Catalans are going to come winners there, and you're obviously going for Saints.
Yeah, I'm going Saints. I can't put my finger on why I'm going Saints.
Well, they've got the home advantage.
Yeah, the home advantage is a little bit. I think the Challenge Cup loss for Catalan is... I think they feel like they've got everybody against them, don't they, Catalan, at the minute? I'd like to see Catalan play well, but I think Saints will get the victory.
Okay, that was Thursday night, then the 15th. Right, moving on to the Friday, we've got two games. For kicking off at Heading with Leeds versus Hull FC. So Leeds currently sitting fourth. Come on, the Rhinos. Fifth for Hull FC, which are starting to drop off a little bit. Tale of the last six then. So Leeds are currently 4 from the last 6. Hull FC currently 2 from the last 6. A definite change in their performances at the minute. Kicking off at 8 o'clock. Carl.
Yeah, two sides who've both had a week off, so I think what we'll get here is a really high-quality game of rugby. I think you get that break on Challenge Cup week, you come back, and it makes a huge difference, doesn't it, to these sides who are sort of play. We just spoke about Catalan. I think the last game they played in the UK, they didn't travel back to France. They had a short turnaround. Whereas Leeds and Hull, they've nearly had 2 weeks off, so I think this is a good, cracking game. This one, who's going to win though? You know what? It's another one, isn't it? This is why the Super League's been so good this year. And I'll get one thing I'll guarantee is we ain't getting 6 from 6 this week.
No.
Well,
no.
One of us in anyway, because we've gone different on the first game. But the fixtures are so hard to call. Leeds are doing well, aren't they? They've sort of turned around last season, and I don't think anybody quite believed it early on. But I think for Leeds, this is a game where they've got to now prove they're this top 3, top 4 material. Currently sat in 4th, aren't they?
Yeah.
Big game for Leeds, this. As it is for Hull FC. But I think if Leeds want to prove themselves as their challengers, Super League challengers, they've got to win this week.
Yeah, okay, so Leeds currently sitting 4th, Hull FC 5th. So again, very, very close to each other. Straight away, I think it's going to be it's going to play into Leeds' hands with a home win for Leeds at Headingley, and I think sadly it's going to be a bit more of a downward turn for Hull FC. So convincing win for Leeds.
Yeah, Hull lost to Huddersfield, didn't they, at Magic Weekend, and that took everybody by surprise a little bit. Do you know, since Will Price has come into the side, the balance has changed a little bit? Are you with me on that? I know he's a great player.
I don't know. It's one of these correlation things, isn't it? I don't know if he's the cause of it or it's just it correlates to this happened and they've had a downward turn.
Rapana's gone back into centres, hasn't he? Which is where he prefers to play, which we know. But I thought he was doing well at full-back, and I thought he was linking really well with Caesar and Cust. He's gone into centre as his preferred position. I don't know. I just have seen a slight change in Hull FC's fortunes last couple of weeks. Leeds then, just looking at Leeds, Watkins has been playing at loose forward. What have you made of Watkins' performances?
I think you know what you get. I mean, he's lost that half a yard of pace where you just constantly used to get on the outside, of the centre or the second row, whoever he's up against, he'd constantly get on outside and just create these overlaps. And he also had that injection of pace to make breaks. I think he's lost that a little bit now. But what he's replaced that with is just a hard-working, robust attitude, does hard graft, and can run a line. And I think in my mind he's faster than the average forward. You know what I mean? So that I don't know if it's his best position, but he's definitely doing a job. I'd like to see some stats on his tackle rate, how many yards, meters after contact, all that kind of stuff. So
I think a big part of this game is who's going to control the field position well. So you've got Caesar on one side and you've got Jake Connor on the other side, who's playing very well this season. I think game management's going to be really important in this game. And I think whichever one of those halfbacks, I think, has a decent game, potentially sway this one way or another. I think both sides are exciting out wider. Leeds, Lum, Newman, who else we got? Hanley. They're all try scorers, aren't they? You got Rapana and that on the other side. It makes for an interesting game, this, but I just think it's down to the halfbacks.
But do you know what's interesting as well is that obviously Connor was at Hull, and Caesar was at Leeds.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so that's a different angle. I know, albeit a few seasons ago, but I wonder if Jake Connor's wanting to put one over on Hull FC. I mean, and also Hull FC always travel well. It's going to be a bumper crowd anyway because it's at Headingley. So, back onto Steve McNamara's conspiracy, the crowd is going to have an effect on this game as well.
I'm going with Leeds.
Right.
I think Leeds at home, I think they're going to take it.
Right, okay, so like I said, 8 o'clock on Sky Sports Plus. One you're going to be able to watch.
You haven't made your prediction, have you?
Yeah, I said Leeds every day of the week. Convincing win.
Oh, right, okay.
Pay attention, Walker, come on. Right, okay, moving on to... Are we all right to move on now?
Yeah, get on with it. Fucking hell.
Right, the next game then, so Wigan, so second place Wigan Warriors take on third place Lee Leopards. Battle of the Borough, always a massive game. Wigan currently 5 from 6, having lost 6 weeks ago, and the reversal then is Lee are currently 5 from 6, but their most recent game is a loss. So is that an indication of momentum?
Lee at the weekend, I said to you, didn't I? I said Lamb has got to have a massive game for Lee to win at the weekend in the Challenge Cup. And I don't think he did. I think he made quite a few errors. I think his timing was off with a few passes. And I think it was really a difference between two sides. Sneed was so good for Warrington. I think he just controlled that Warrington side. And Lee were a little bit all over the place. And that's why they lost at the weekend. Coming to Wigan, though, it's one of them games, isn't it, where you actually, your form book, you just throw it out the window because the big rivalry comes around. It's a heated battle. And if we were playing this game over 2 legs, like it was a football match in the Europa League or something, it'd be 1-0, wouldn't it, to Leeds? Yeah. So that's how the first game of the season ended, wasn't it? Yeah. Who do you think? I'll go with you first.
Well, I think Wigan are going to take it. I think Lee have lost Armstrong. He's out at the minute.
Oh, right, okay.
There's a couple of players out there. I think they'll be a little bit bruised and battered from the weekend, and because of that, and because of Wigan's just outstanding form, they're going to smother them like a python. And Wigan are going to take the win, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Wigan are back to being all consistent. Everything's balanced. They don't even have many injuries, do they, Wigan? They've just got literally a full strength side. Lee've got a few injuries. I think there's a little bit of inconsistency starting to creep in, especially in their attack. One guy I've got to mention, though, Edwin Apape. Man, the guy just breaking people in half, isn't he? I mean, that he was key when Lee beat Wigan in that first game of the season. Yeah. He just came onto that pitch and he just interrupted everything that Wigan did. He's got to have a big game again, just like that. I think Lee need to start him. I don't like it when they bring him on the bench. Start him, just get him interrupting the Wigan side straight away if they're going to have any chance of beating Wigan, but I can't see it. Wigan are too balanced. They're at home. I expect Wigan to win.
Right, let's move on to the Saturday's game. Just one game on the Saturday. Hull KR versus Huddersfield Giants. Hull KR obviously sitting at the top there and Giants sitting 11th. Hull KR are currently 5 from 6 with just that one loss against Wigan, and Giants having picked up just one win out of the last 6. Kicks off at 17:30 Sky Plus.
Hull KR, everything's going well for Hull KR, isn't it? They're going to Vegas. I mean, that's just been announced today. So they're just playing great rugby, entertaining to watch. Just enjoy everything Hull KR are doing at the minute. We've got to speak about Huddersfield, though. We've been dismissing them all year, and I think I properly put my foot in it a few weeks ago, didn't I? I said, Huddersfield ain't going to win a game this season. It was magic,
wasn't it? It was magic.
Yeah, I went, Huddersfield aren't going to win a game this season, and then they went and pulled that performance out the hat against Hull that nobody saw coming, and I thought they were great. Leroy Cudjoe, just roll back the years. He had a really instrumental first half for Huddersfield. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. He's got to keep playing like that. Zach Wolford, I think, at 9's playing well for Huddersfield at the minute. I think they're starting to get some players back from injury, which is making a difference. So, yeah. Oh, George Flanagan.
Yeah.
Star of the future, mate, he is. I
remember you talking about George Flanagan last year.
Yeah.
And so, he was absolutely on fire. Well, and he stepped up Huddersfield and he's still performing incredibly well.
It was at Bradford. He came through Bradford's academy system, and he's Flanagan senior. He played with his dad, which is, I don't think there's many players who've done that, played at top level with the dad in the same team. He was always looked like he was going to be a great player. He's one of them lads that's he don't look like he's filled out properly yet, but try saving tackles, weren't they, at the Magic weekend, where he was just getting under the ball. He's growing in confidence. He's growing into a bit of a star at the minute. I'd be interested. Don't know how long Huddersfield are going to keep hold of him, though. That's one thing I would say.
Yeah, but one thing we do need is more poster boys. So best of luck for George Flanagan, especially in this game. He's going to need to perform incredibly well. I cannot see any other win than Hull KR here. I'm sorry, for those Giants fans, and but Hull KR just too much, and they do not want another loss on their record.
No, one of the form teams of Super League out of the Hull KR. I can't. I'm exactly with you. I can't see Huddersfield beating Hull KR. It's a Hull KR win all day. This is.
Right, let's move on then to the Sunday first game. Then kicking off at 3:00, we've got Wakefield Trinity taking on Warrington Wolves. So Wakey currently 3 from the last 6. Warrington Wolves also 3 from the last 6. Wakey sitting 8th and Warrington sitting 9th. Kicks off 3:00, like I said. What do you say?
Well, if we were looking at we're nearly at the halfway point of the season. If you'd said Warrington are going to be 9th in the table at almost the halfway point of the season, no one would have predicted that, would they? After the season they had last year, I think you've got to say Warrington this season so far underperforming. Yeah,
100%. And on the flip side, Wakey perhaps overperforming. I know they're sitting 8th, but they've taken some serious scalps this year. They've taken and performing well.
They've taken some serious scalps, and the games they've not lost by much. And the last few weeks they've looked really good. Warrington, though, I think the fans have got to be a little bit. I said it, didn't I, in the intro? I've got to be a little bit concerned, because if you look at their performance at the weekend, I know they've got injuries, but the performance at the weekend was top notch. It was a great performance from Warrington. Stefan Ratchford, I think he needs to be in that team. I don't know what it is about him. I think he's getting on a bit now, but he helps the side, doesn't he, a great deal. Sneijder, we mentioned, he had a great game, but I think Warrington's just. I don't know where this inconsistency comes from with Warrington. I don't know if it's the coaching, the culture at the club. I don't know what it is, but they're certainly capable of performing at top level performances, and they just start doing it week in, week out. A lot of inconsistencies this year with them.
Yeah, well, losing can become habitual, can't it? Just like winning. Winning can become a habit. So maybe they're just in that groove right now. But I think getting through to the Challenge Cup final will obviously bolster
boost.
them. Yeah, be a big boost. They're going to go. Look, listen. Our Super League season's not done. We can still get into the playoffs, and we've got enough talent and stars and experience to go all the way to the grand final, and then it's anything can happen. So they're not done. However, they are brushing extremely close with ending up outside the playoffs if they don't buckle their ideas up.
It feels like a must-win game for Warrington almost.
But this is what I said right at the start.
In the table.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. That these 4 teams on 10th, there's got to become a polarisation of these teams. Because if the 2 are going to crack on and be, with a chance of getting in the playoffs, and 2 are going to have shit it, and have got no chance.
Yeah.
Who is that going to be? And this is the week that defines that.
Matty Ashton's out as well, isn't he? Long-term injury, MCL, ACL injury. Yeah. So he's a big loss for him. Another injury that they don't really need. One of their star men. Having said that, Dufty's having a great season. He was bloody brilliant again at the weekend. Ben Curry was great. Paul Vaughan was great in the pack. Difficult one to call this, mate. Difficult one to call. Go on. Are you going first or am I going first?
Yeah, Wakey.
You going Wakey?
Yeah, I'm going to Wakey win. I think they've been bolstered by the win at the weekend. I think, if anything, Sam Burgess can turn around and say, right, I can see what you've done. No, don't bullshit me. I can see what you do as a collective. And I want that replicating on the pitch this weekend.
You just said Wakey were going to win.
No, I said Warrington.
No, you didn't. You said Wakey.
Oh, I meant Warrington. I was
like,
apologies.
Sam Burgess had Darryl Powell's job here. What's going on?
Right, yeah. Shall I do it again?
No, I'll fucking leave it in, mate.
Leave it in, you daft twat.
Right, I'm going Wakey. I am. I just can see Wakefield picking up a win.
I mean, make it exciting. It really will make it exciting if Wakey pick up.
It's
a win.
at Wakefield, by the way.
Yeah,
it's at Wakefield. So, because Warrington have been inconsistent all year, I don't know where their consistency is going to start. So for that reason, they played great this weekend. I think they'll drop off again this weekend. So I'm going to go for Wakefield.
Right, okay, so that moves us on to the final game. Then we've got Castleford Tigers taking on Salford Red Devils. Cass currently sitting 10th, and of course Salford, and the demise of that great club, is sitting 12th in the league. Tail of the table then, so Cass just 1 win from the last 6, but there's always someone worse off. Salford 0 from the last 6, kicks off at 17:30 on Sky Plus.
Yeah, Salford, there's not much to say about the team, is there? Every time we talk about Salford, it's right, we'll start talking about the off-field problems, and the owners just seem like absolute shitbags, I'll be honest with you. How they were given a rugby league club is beyond me. I think it's gone beyond a joke, to be honest with you. Look, Salford, they've still got some stars in there. Nick Arima's played really well all year. Ethan Ryan knows his way to a try line. If those guys have got to play well. Shorrocks in the halves is doing pretty well, but there's not enough depth in that Salford side. Yeah. And I think Castleford will win this week. I think I genuinely think Castleford have got their shit together a bit more than Salford do.
Well, I think Castleford would definitely have earmarked this as a must-win game and almost like a main feature, because if they don't win here now, and there's a chance they might not win.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be. Yeah, I think it'll be close.
But yeah, so they've got to identify this. I'm going for a Cass win, purely because just like you said, I don't think Salford have got the depth. So I think Cass are going to take this win. I think they're going to be really G'd up and nip the wing.
Double bubble, and both going for a Cass win at the Jungle. Yeah, this weekend. So.
Cool. Right, as always, let's finish up with a little bit of what's coming up. Any final afterburners, Carl?
Yeah, we've got our set of 6 dropping, which we've got some Vegas news in there, a bit of a Challenge Cup review, and we're going to have the Outsiders reaction to this crazy new sport. Run it straight and get concussion. What's it called? Run it straight.
Ruin it straight. Until the next video, take care.